chava punk, tu china chava waki. China mo kikirani, tsai chava kirani, tsai mo kikirani.
Yep, Clint loves the snoo because that is his girlfriend. Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings. My name's Luke Radowski here of thebestpoliticalshow.com, and we will be going live for the next 2 hours discussing all the latest and craziest news developing right now, as of course there never is a shortage of things to talk about, as Kamala will have one of the biggest nights of her life, as many people are expecting a surprise guest at the DNC. Who is it? As they are literally making an appeal to low-T men, while Chris Cuomo came out against the DNC elites, really? We'll be looking into that video, as well as Kennedy looks to spoil the party as Andrew Tate got arrested. And, breaking news, fluoride also lowers your IQ. We're going to be talking about that, plus a lot more, all here for the next 2 hours. As, of course, we will ask you guys to please share this broadcast with your friends and family members. It is more imperative than ever, and it really does mean a lot to us when you do that. It helps us fight the algorithm, as we are still here on this particular platform, mainly because of your direct support. You could also support us by going to lukeunfiltered.com, and by doing so, you get the ability to call in to the show and be a part of this broadcast in a totally unfiltered way. We also will be trying to read any and all of your super chats on mysuperchat.com. The link is in the description, as of course those super chats also get to show up on screen. As of course joining us today is the man, the myth, the legend himself, Roger Stone. Roger, for the people who don't know you, who are you and how would you introduce yourself?
Great to be here again, Luke. I'm a freedom fighter. I'm a New York Times bestselling author. I'm a veteran of 13 national presidential elections, presidential campaigns.
That's all?
13, yeah. I deny that I was the head of Youth for Lincoln, though. That's not not true. And I am a critic of the deep state. And I'm very excited and actually optimistic that this fraud that we see, this PSYOP, this massive national PSYOP, culminating in the Democrat National Convention, is not going to work because while some people are stupid, not everyone is that stupid.
Let's hope.
Absolutely. We have the PSYOP playing on screen in front of us. We're going to be watching it along as, of course, it looks like Reverend Al Sharpton is on stage right now. And we, of course, it's not Boyz II Men.
Oh, okay.
Who knows? Maybe. They're paying off a lot of celebrities to be there, as some people are saying that Beyonce might be there, or Taylor Swift, or George W. Bush. We'll get into that in just a little bit. Martha Bueno is also here. Thank you so much for joining us. Martha, who are you?
Thank you for having me. Very vocal critic of all these crappy politics. Sorry. You can find me at Bueno for Miami.
Clint Russell survived and showed up.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here.
Well, it's not a matter of survival. I survived the snoo
The
on the
snoo-snoo.
bed. Yes, no, I did survive
He
that.
survived the building collapse.
He's a durable man. He's like a passport of one of the people from 2001.
I'm durable and I'm adorable. At Liberty Lockpod on X, if you want to follow me. Liberty Lockdown on Instagram. Liberty Lockdown is the show. You can find it everywhere. I also do Tower Gang, which you should never ever watch, and I in fact slept through yesterday, so don't watch that one. But I'm honored to have Roger in the building, and we've got another special guest coming on at 10 o'clock, allegedly. So you guys will want to stay tuned for that.
Not allegedly. He's confirmed.
All right,
and
I didn't know if
we're doing his show. He's doing our show, just like back in the day. This brings back a lot of lessons.
We're also going to be showing at the Stone Zone.
Exactly.
At Rumble. So
Exactly.
It's a threefer.
Oh, yeah,
I always love threesomes. This is going to be great.
Wow, my first threesome. Thank you.
A trimulcast, if you will.
Oh, I don't know how to respond to that. Steph, I'll just leave it to you.
All right. Well, hi, everyone. This is Steph of We Are Change. I'm here to push the buttons.
All right, let's just get into it. As of course, we have the last day of the DNC happening right now. We have the live feed in front of us as we are watching all the events that are unfolding. Elizabeth Warren was just on stage crying, as a lot of people are saying that this is going to be Kamala Harris's biggest night of her life, as a lot of people are expecting some surprises. Some people are even potentially expecting maybe a platform. Maybe we'll understand what she's running for or what she's going to be doing. But there's going to be something that probably will be surprising some individuals here. Roger, what do you expect to hear from Kamala, who has been practicing for this, according to all the reports, very seriously, as of course she's getting the top-notch PR training in the world right now to come off as likable. Will she?
Well, first of all, Luke, the fact that you refuse to pronounce her name properly demonstrates that you are racist.
I still can't figure out how to pronounce her name.
Kamala. It's really easy. Communist, Kamula. That's how you remember.
you.
I will never forget it now. Thank you.
Now you
Never.
you've got it. Look,
Yeah.
so they have a fundamental problem. They have a candidate for president who cannot speak extemporaneously. She can't answer the most basic of questions. She has no knowledge. They can't subject her to an interview. They can't subject her to a press conference. So what you're going to see tonight is her working off the teleprompter. I'm sure she's going to be very eloquent, using words written by someone else. But can she hide like that for 75 plus days, roughly 75 days? I think it's extraordinarily difficult. So you're going to see the packaged Kamala tonight, and Joe Biden. Who? Joe Biden? I mean, they got him out of there after midnight. A sitting president of the United States pushed out of prime time, and then I don't know whether he left based on his own pique about being forced out, or they told him he had to leave, but they want him off stage, and they want to pretend the Biden-Harris administration literally never happened.
Yep.
I mean, she'll close the borders. She'll solve all of our problems.
Well, a couple weeks ago, they were like, the economy, the economy's fine, the economy's doing great, and now the new talking point is Kamala will fix the economy.
Right.
Well, I thought you were saying it was fine. Well, it's clearly not, and of course, it's going to be
She's
interesting.
going to seal the border.
Yeah.
I mean, she's pledged to hire
border's hard.
hundreds of new border agents to crack down, her words, to seal the border when she was in charge of the border. I mean, ABC and NBC are trying to erase that, but video lives forever.
Mm-hmm.
She was put in charge of the border, and the border is a disaster. 20 million illegals in the country, but guess what? Kamala thinks that every U.S. taxpayer should pay for the health care for every one of those illegals. I bet she doesn't mention that in her remarks tonight.
Well, and now California is offering, I think it was $30,000 in down payment assistance to illegal immigrants to purchase housing in California.
We have that article pulled up,
it's
and we
nuts.
have that. We're going to be talking about that at the end of this first hour. But let's be honest here. Kamala's no Big Mike. She's no Michelle. She's not as polished. She's not as good. She doesn't have the cadence. She doesn't have the energy. She doesn't have the vibe as other DNC speakers have. As of course, I think if we look at the entire DNC so far, the biggest person that made the most amount of impact that the crowd went absolutely crazy for was Michelle Obama. It's like she was prepped for that moment. It's like she's kind of waiting in the wings to see what will happen here. And I think for the establishment, she is that kind of final trump card that they will play, maybe not now, maybe not this year, but at some point, because if you look at anyone else who was speaking, she's the biggest one. She's the most important one out of the entire DNC.
No, I agree. Look, I made 3 predictions. I said Joe would not run again. Kamala would briefly become president. I still think that's entirely possible.
And they could do that for Secret Service protection as well.
Either through the 25th Amendment or more nefarious means. And I thought that they would clearly see that the only candidate they had with a chance in this race was Michelle Obama. Now, the interlude between Kamala emerging as the candidate and Obama finally endorsing her tells me that was a time period in which he was giving Michelle the final pitch. Only you can save us. Only you can beat Trump. But she's not prepared to give up that $100 million mansion in Martha's Vineyard.
Don't blame her.
And the sweet lifestyle. So we're stuck with Kamala, and that's what they're going to try to do.
What I find remarkable is that it was just last week that I think it was the GOP House Oversight Committee of some form that came out with a report stating that they have evidence that Joe Biden profited to the tune of $28 million, or his family did, because of what he did both as vice president and then president of the United States. And allegedly, that report ran past the White House the week prior to him finally acquiescing and deciding to step out or to drop out of the race. And it's like, no one cares. No one's even talking about it. Like, that is a huge allegation, and it's not even making a dent in the news cycle. It's amazing. The corporate media's power, despite the fact that it's diminished with alternative media, thank God, it still has first mover advantage in that they set the frame. They set the narrative that we all function by, and they're doing an amazing job. This has all been about Kamala Harris. Joe Biden it's like he doesn't even exist, and he's this sitting president of the United States, and no one even talks about him.
You're absolutely right. The House Republicans now have enough information to easily justify an impeachment, but they're not going to impeach him now because, well, he doesn't matter anymore. He's leaving anyway. Unbelievable.
I mean, I think that's the right move. But also, going back to Michelle Obama, I thought it was very curious that for the first time ever, I heard her talk about having had IVF herself. I think that was a huge disclosure that she gave out, which is that the children that she and Obama have were conceived via IVF, and who knows, surrogates? I mean, that was a big thing. People were talking about her. There are no pictures of her ever being pregnant.
Was there a surrogate for her or for him? I mean,
was she donating or was she receiving? I think a lot of people ask
the crazy thing is there's a lot of conspiracy theories regarding the Obama girls and who their actual parents are and all of that, and it was just like a casual, hey,
she just kind of dropped it in there, didn't she?
She did.
Yeah, it was
it's
interesting.
like, oh, IVF, it's so great. I mean, I used it. It's like, whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, yet again, they spin this. It's part of their pack of lies. Trump will outlaw IVF. No, he won't. He's never said that. Trump is going to slash Social Security and Medicaid. That's what Walsh said.
I wish he would.
It's a bald-faced lie. Just lies.
I wish he would, honestly. I mean, it would be fantastic, but
CNN, I think it was CNN, maybe it was MSNBC, even fact-checked in real time one of the speakers at the DNC yesterday, where he was talking about how Donald Trump authored Project 2025, right. And they're like fact-check. Actually, Donald Trump, there's like dozens of authors on this paper. Donald Trump has actually disavowed himself from it and was not an author on it. It's amazing that even like the lies are so egregious coming from the DNC, politicians, that even the media occasionally has to tell the truth.
Yeah, if you look at the larger messaging of the DNC, it's pretty much two messages. Trump is bad, and we need freedom for reproductive rights, and that's essentially what they're focusing on. Nothing really else. There's really nothing else kind of substantive, as we're still kind of waiting to see what kind of president Kamala is promising to be. So it's going to be interesting to see what she's going to start off with, what she's going to stand behind, but it's probably going to be those same kind of unifying messages that everyone on the stage of the DNC is kind of regurgitating and repeating right now.
Well, she's going to stop Donald Trump from completely outlawing abortion in the United States, which is, of course, not his position. It's a states' rights issue, and he's made that clear. The truth doesn't matter to any of these people, so they just keep repeating the same big lies over and over again.
But she's bringing the joy, Roger.
Yeah, I wasn't very joyful when I watched the whole thing myself.
Well, what's frustrating is that they're even talking about how Trump he's willing to go so far as to do it without congressional authorization. Like they're saying executive order, whatever it takes to ban abortion nationwide, despite the fact that he is overtly saying to the contrary. It's really as if like the words of Trump don't matter to them. They're going to run on this caricature of what they want their voting base to believe. The question is, will it work? And I think it probably will work on their base, but in terms of like the swing voters, which is who they need at this point, I have to pray that it won't work on them.
It's going to be interesting to see who potentially might be the surprise guest, because everyone's talking about potentially Beyonce coming on stage or Taylor Swift. Other people are now reporting that it could be George W. Bush as a potential speaker at the DNC. Again, all of these are just rumors. At the RNC, everyone was talking about Elon Musk being there, and of course, Elon Musk was never there, but we usually have a lot of those kind of rumors started specifically, as now At Leading Report is reporting that former CNN host Don Lemon says sources have told him George Bush could be speaking at the DNC. With the way that the political shifts have been happening, it kind of wouldn't surprise me. Will it be George W. Bush? I don't think so personally. What do you guys think? Who do you think the surprise guest will be, since last night we had Oprah?
Well, Martha was leaning towards Liz Cheney. I wouldn't be surprised. I obviously I have no inside information, so I can't even theorize as to who it might be. But it would be a big deal if I guess he is the most recent Republican president aside from Donald Trump. If he were to come out and endorse Kamala Harris of all people, I mean, it is. I'll spin it positively from the Donald Trump camp perspective. It couldn't be a more positive pitch for him because a lot of people are looking at Trump this go around and they're saying, you were the president. You can't really run as an outsider anymore. In fact, he's trying to moderate some of his positions, so perhaps he's not trying to run as an outsider. I think what made Trump so compelling in 2015-16 is that he ran as an outsider. That's what we were looking for. That's what we wanted. I think this kind of puts that energy back into his campaign that, look, I'm not just running against the old guard DNC, the Kamala Harris, the Joe Biden puppets of the system. I'm also running against the neocon scumbags that you guys have been railing against your entire lives. That is powerful. Yeah. I think it could be a win for him either way.
And if it is George W. Bush speaking, it would galvanize more of a base for Donald Trump to say, yeah, that's our guy. like Bush has a horrible track record, especially when it comes to destroying the Constitution.
I guess the question is, who killed more people in endless foreign wars? Would it be George W. or Bill Clinton? He's a contender, certainly, but Barack Obama, I still think, has the record. Who killed more innocent civilians with drones? Which president?
Oh, that's Obama, I'm sure. But
Well, it depends. I mean, I think Bush has a big record in
Bush
Iraq
got
as
us
well.
into those wars.
But if it's American citizens, it's definitely Barack. Barack definitely takes the cake for that one
you're
with
right. You're
his
probably right.
with his deposition matrix that he literally implemented and signed off personally on drones taking out the lives of American citizens, including a teenage American citizen from Colorado as well.
who was guilty of nothing. He was a 16-year-old. He just had the wrong father.
And then Robert Gibbs literally told us when we were interviewing him, the only statement they ever gave about this particular incident, he literally said, he should have had a better father. I'm like, you just literally said that to us. And of course, it made national news everywhere. But of course, no one accredited us. They just talked about everything that we did because there was a censorship effort that, of course, got rid of us actually being credited for that larger interview that we did asking those particular questions. But it's fascinating because I think we reached the point where the political lines are so blurred. It's no longer left and right. It's no longer kind of conservative versus liberal. It's kind of more establishment versus anti-establishment. And there are kind of different kind of things that blur the lines significantly on those issues. It's not as clear, but when you look at what the Democrats are kind of representing, the lines, the official things that they're pushing for, it clearly benefits a small group of individuals that puppeteer the DNC political party. Trump, again, there's some questions to be made here as well, but he's more of a wild horse in this race that represents more of shaking things up and stirring up the establishment types and the corporate media that, of course, are really pissed off at him and really don't like what he stands for and what he would represent as president of the United States, which is fascinating to see. That's just how I see it. I don't know how you guys particularly see it yourselves.
I would have to say that as a 45-year veteran of American politics, I finally came to the hard conclusion that the whole right-left, Republican-Democrat thing is a Hegelian device to divide us and distract us from the fact that it's the same small group of political elites who have dominated both parties, driven us to endless war because it's very, very profitable. And as much as I have a sentimental attachment to the Republican Party of Lincoln and Eisenhower and Goldwater and Reagan, until Trump came along, they both firmly controlled both parties. The party, the Country Club Party, the Bushes, was literally hijacked from them by Donald Trump, and they cannot get over it. They cannot get over it.
I think that's a big, if not big, it may be the only reason that he's been persecuted so endlessly. Because I think in terms of his actual track record, he doesn't represent such a danger to the system. It's just that he's not controlled entirely, and that alone is enough to make him public enemy number one. And it's remarkable that like what they are willing to do for a guy who's, he's not actually pushing to abolish the FBI and the CIA, which I would love for him to do. But they're behaving as if he is, as if he's promising to end the Federal Reserve and abolish all the three other agencies.
That would be fantastic.
Yeah,
that would be pretty cool.
great.
Run on that, Trump. Run on it. Listen to me. Do it.
But I think that, it's great if Bush or Cheney or any of them show up. It'll just show that the deep state lives in the DNC. Yeah. I think it's fantastic. They really should.
I agree.
I hope that Bush shows up. And, who can forget that the reason we went into those wars was Bush? Like, he is the machine. He represents it. I love it. Let's have him
See,
go.
I think they're going to end up with Liz Cheney tonight as their big guest. Now, here's the daughter of a war criminal, someone who lied our country into war so that his company, Halliburton, could literally make hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars.
Oh, billions.
And he was the most hated man in America until they figured out he wasn't Donald Trump. Now they embrace his daughter, who the voters of Wyoming basically kicked out by record numbers, as if she's some kind of saint. It's really extraordinary.
Well, and then especially after what Liz did during the J6 hearings, I mean, she just lied herself into oblivion. The whole family's reprehensible. The fact that there's anybody that still respects them at all in this country is nuts. The fact that all of the respect comes from Democrats as of late is mind blowing to me. Because they were the opposition to the Iraq War back in the day.
They were back when they believed in not starting wars. But I mean, can we fault them? Like, people can't remember 2 months ago they were saying that Kamala, I still can't say it. Communism. They were 2 months ago. Nobody liked her. So, I mean, we have very short-term memories in this country, and we just keep forgetting things, and we forget that Biden is the president.
Wear your mask, social distance, vote for Kamala.
Yeah, this is a kind of special election since I think people's attention span is kind of playing into a lot of what we're seeing. People are forgetting that, the former president of the United States was literally shot at. We got developments about that story that we're going to be talking about in a little bit as well, as, of course, people are trying to pin all the blame on Iran here, as, of course, there's a potential conflict there brewing. But we have to kind of also remind people, hey, out of the past 16 years, the Democrats have been in charge for 12 of them, okay? And if they're now standing on their podium and saying, it's the Republicans that are bad, it's the Republicans that want to hurt this economy, it's the Republicans that did this, the Republicans barely have been in charge. The establishment has been in charge. We got 4 years of Donald Trump that, of course, was interrupted by a national health scare that was kind of prompted up by the intelligence agencies that were cooking up something in a laboratory that just accidentally was released that they then covered up. But again, I think people are picking up on the hypocrisies here, because when you hear people like Oprah Winfrey on the national stage literally talk about how she was on the receiving end of income inequality, as she's literally a billionaire, a lot of people are like, wait, hold on here. This doesn't really add up here. These are the comments from Oprah. We're going to play a little short segment of it here.
And sexism and income inequality and division. I've not only seen it, at times I've been on the receiving end of it.
Yeah. I would like to trade in my white privilege right now for whatever Oprah had, because clearly she worked her way. She was, a woman in this industry and in the entertainment and media industry for a very long time. She was also previously very close to Donald Trump, as Donald Trump posted a letter that Oprah, of course, sent him when they were still friends, when they were still doing shows, when they were still interacting with each other. This was kind of a fascinating letter, since she was kind of goading at Donald Trump running with her for the presidency of the United States. And have a lot of things changed since then, as of course we have now officially pulled up the letter here that Donald Trump posted a couple of hours ago. Now, you had experience with this letter, Roger.
This is circa 2000. Ross Perot, who is a good friend of Trump's. All these billionaires know each other. I found that out. And Jesse Ventura, who had been elected as governor of Minnesota as an independent, as a Reform Party candidate, but who had wrestled at Trump Plaza and was a friend of Donald's, were both urging him to run as the Reform Party candidate. We were casting around to find a popular running mate, and her name popped up. And he said it someplace he'd like someone like her. It got huge headlines. It was all over the tabloids. It was page one in the New York Post and the Daily News. I think that letter was written as a result of it. I don't think, and he would tell you this himself, he was never really serious about running in 2000. This was an effort to draft him. And his views were somewhat more populist at that point and less conservative than they are today, as was the Reform Party of its time. But what's amazing here, you see it over and over and over again. Bernie Sanders denouncing billionaires. Bernie, you skimmed millions from your two presidential campaigns and media commissions. You have 3 vacation homes. You're driving a top-of-the-line Mercedes. Tell us once again about the proletariat and what they should have. I mean, it's and then you have Pritzker getting up there. I mean, do you see J.B. Pritzker? This guy is so fat. He's got his own zip code. I mean,
well, what I also find really insulting is that for a time, I believe this is true. If it's not exactly true, it's close. I think Oprah was the richest woman in the world for a time, or close in America at least. So the fact that she would run on that and then just claim that she's dealt with income inequality, which is obviously laughable for any billionaire to say, but then also to say that she dealt with racism, it's like, of course, I'm sure she had some minor run-ins with racism throughout her life, but let's also remember that she profited to the tune of $1 billion+ largely from a white female audience, which idolized her for decades. And it's like, we're still going to pretend that we're dealing with this, overtly racist country when you've become extraordinarily rich because we are not a racist country. It's so insulting, and I don't know how they don't have shame when talking like this. It's crazy.
It was interesting to see Bernie Sanders go from talking about the millionaires and the billionaires, and then when he became kind of a millionaire, he kind of just edited that sequence out of his larger kind of talking points, as of course he previously was talking about the Koch brothers' immigration plan that now he kind of fully endorses, as well as the rest of the political party. So it's interesting seeing all these people say, all these Wall Street types, all these billionaires, they're all horrible. As of course they cheer on and celebrate their biggest billionaires. And Oprah, again, huge influential person, the surprise guest yesterday, and it is going to make an impact. But I just wanted to remind people that, Oprah Winfrey also is someone that has participated in secret meetings with world elites about population control. The Guardian called this the Good Club, as of course this happened specifically in 2009. And I remember covering this in New York City. I was running around New York City looking at every single venue, just trying to find out where these guys were, because it was Mayor Bloomberg, it was the Rockefellers, it was Ted Turner, and it was a lot of other prominent billionaires coming together secretly to discuss how we could lower the Earth's population, how we could, make sure that there's not enough rabble around for everyone. And this is literally what they were talking about. This is literally the party that, of course, is also giving out vasectomies outside of the DNC in literal food trucks. And when you look at the kind of base that they're going after, when you look at the kind of policies that they're going after, all of it kind of does boil down to what I see as a larger depopulation agenda that is being carried out. And sadly, a lot of the people at the DNC, I think they're victims of it and don't realize it, as a lot of them are being kind of convinced, yes, getting rid of your child, yes, giving yourself a vasectomy, yes, being a strong and independent cat lady is the way to go. And I think they're kind of highlighting a larger issue that is becoming more prevalent in America, and that is the decline of our health, personal well-being, and the family unit that I think is directly under attack through the establishment that I think is absolutely carrying out a lot of its orders through the DNC, through the Democratic Party, in a lot more kind of underhanded ways than we even realize ourselves.
Sorry, I got to go back to another point, but over the past few nights, you've had Hillary Clinton, super rich, 100 million plus. Bill Clinton, 100 million plus. Joe Biden, not doing bad for himself, got those Burisma deals. You got J.B. Pritzker, you got Barack Obama, Michelle Obama, super rich. All of these people are super rich, and they're pretending as if they're victims. I don't know how their voters look at these people and take them seriously.
I love how Michelle Obama was on stage and, saying things like, my parents looked upon these people, like suspiciously or whatever.
If they wanted too much.
Right. And it's like, excuse me, Miss Obama.
I like how you say it with a question mark.
I don't know how you could stand on that stage and have that, just like, it's so fake. I'm thinking in Spanish. I'm like, cara dura. Like, this woman is like the most, oh my God. How can you do this? How can you just stand there and lie about like these rich people as if you aren't rich?
But Clinton, I want to get you on the record on this. Are you not in favor of liberal men, as many liberal men as possible, having vasectomies? Because I don't think it's such a bad idea.
So you're in the Tim Pool camp.
I mean, Harry Sisson should step right up and get his right now.
I don't think you have to worry about it. His testosterone's so low, he'll never reproduce.
Yeah, I mean, fertility rates are going down, specifically amongst a lot of young men, especially if they kind of do everything that they're told to do. So maybe the vasectomies aren't even needed, as of course people are having more and more difficulties trying to have babies, even when they want to have babies. And I think that's an issue that no one is addressing except for like Elon Musk. That's kind of bringing this conversation to the world stage that I've been screaming about for the past 20 years. And I think we are really headed towards some really bad times. And this kind of depopulation agenda, this health agenda that's kind of unfolding in America, to me, is like the number one troubling issue, as well as the economy, of course, as well.
Once you add that on to the fact that the entire financial system is predicated on the population continuing to grow, because you have to pay for all of the unfunded liabilities and entitlements that everybody's been promised. And this is not just an American phenomenon. This is a global phenomenon. And we just had reports yesterday that China is also facing a major population decline. Japan's already been imploding. Most European nations are in the decline. So this is going to be a financial, just cataclysm, aside from the human aspects, which is also very bad.
Enough people to replace us. I think that's really the point here is, I mean, you don't have to be the one to give birth when other people are coming across the border.
It does appear to be that's the plan.
And listen, I'm Hispanic. We have babies.
That's true.
Lots of them. I had a lot of them.
To Roger's point, though, look, I'll never celebrate anybody deciding to take themselves out of the gene pool, but if I have my druthers, certainly I would prefer there to be people that believe in the Bill of Rights, that will raise their kids to value freedom, to be the ones that are reproducing, while the ones that would like to strip me of my rights stop reproducing. So I guess I'm on the record. Yes.
All right, we got you there.
Outbreed the left, huh?
Yeah.
Fair
I mean,
enough.
this is Tim Pool's been making this pitch for a year. When he first said it, I was like, oh, that's really dark, dude. And then I was like, nah, he's got a point.
Wait, it makes a lot of sense. I didn't know he said that, but I have thought about that before.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that we're doing it on, like, it's happening. If you look at traditional Republican families, you have more people having children than traditional Democrat families. I mean, the standard Democrat person that you think of has more cats than children.
Well, that's true, but the issue has been that a lot of Republicans are having kids and then feeding them into the public school system and then into academia, and these kids are not coming out the other end Republicans. They're coming out lunatic lefties. So I think that's the real key, is that just because you have Republicans that are reproducing at a higher rate, you still need to make sure that you're parenting these children into a way that they don't become deranged.
Well, isn't like Elon Musk's kid kind of an example? Except I would argue I don't think that child was in the public school system. So I don't think it's only the education system. I think
it's
it
the
could also
culture.
be like
It's
TikTok
both,
and different things like that.
Well,
Meanwhile, they poison us through the food.
Exactly.
Virtually all
And
of
the
the food
water.
is poisoned.
The food, the water,
The
the
water.
environment, all of it is being poisoned. And, this is why I think RFK is such an important figure in this larger conversation, since he also represents a lot of these concerns as well.
That's how you transition to another topic. I like it, Luke.
It's good. That was smooth.
That was smooth.
We'll wait.
He's a
We'll wait.
He's a professional.
We'll
No,
wait.
come on, bring it on.
We have all these like articles that I have pulled up here that I definitely want to really get into. But it is a very fascinating and I think a very important conversation, especially about kind of demographics. Since I disagree with Tim Pool, he's saying we're going to outbreed the left. We're going to have more children than they are. But I think he fails to realize the larger kind of problems with open borders and immigration that are going to spur on more leftists, but also more importantly, the takeover of the culture. Like right now, if Beyonce shows up or Taylor Swift shows up, this is going to be a major boost. Oprah Winfrey, like her or not, it's a major boost to the main voter demographic that's going to be voting for the Democrats, and that is white women. White women in these swing states will be deciding the future of this country. A lot of white women that are also on a ton of SSRIs, that are also, susceptible to groupthink, susceptible towards larger kind of takeovers of society that's being manipulated to kind of push on this larger big government on everyone. So I do see the Democrats literally trying to pander to the kind of low T audience. I mean, Dana Bash literally talked about this on CNN. Here's the clip, which I think is also fascinating to see in this conversation where she said the quiet part out loud.
But they are doing so in trying to put forward male figures, Tim Walz being one of them, Doug Emhoff last night, who can speak to men out there who might not be the sort of testosterone-laden, gun-toting kind of guy who wants to listen to Hulk Hogan and the kind of players that came out at the RNC, or might want to listen to that, but also, in addition, understand that it's okay in 2024 to be a man comfortable in his own skin who supports a woman. And that's something that they really are trying to work on with male voters beyond the base.
The soy boy base. And you look at a lot of these videos, you look at a lot of the kind of influences here, all of them significantly do have larger health problems with their kind of hormones. And there is a kind of overwhelming theme that is becoming the new normal. And I think this has been this is my conspiracy-minded kind of take on it, is that this has been kind of in the works for quite a while. And if you are the DNC, you want people to be, of course, more effeminate. You want people to, of course, be more of a soy boy. You want people not to be strong, because then you're going to need more government in order to fill in that larger role that you used to have before. So I think we're reaching a very dangerous point where the social media algorithms, the public educational institutions, the culture, the society, they're all pushing for this. And I think this population that they're trying to appeal to is significant, and it is big. And I think it's going to be a kind of larger determining factor in this election that might make a big impact here.
I think there's a Venn diagram here of people who fell for the COVID narrative hook, line, and sinker, and now are falling for this narrative. And you need it to be more of the soy boy type of people, because otherwise,
the brainwashable, the people that are easily brainwashed, because it's like you're obviously not doing your job as a citizen to do the job of figuring out what's going on. It's your responsibility, and if you're not reading up, if you're not being informed, well, you're just going to be taken.
It's also easier to institute communism and take away people's guns and do all these things when you are
docile.
Less. Yes, exactly. Thank you. That's a great word. I was going to say less masculine.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think you caught on to that narrative when I said earlier, wear your mask, social distance, vote for Kamala. Like that is the exact same game plan. It's the exact same psyop that's being ran. The media narrative, the lockstep pivot from her being the least liked vice president in modern times to now the great hope, the one that's replacing this, this brain dead Biden. Keeping in mind that just 10 days prior, they were pretending as if Joe Biden was sharp as a tack.
And nobody's saying anything about Kamala saying, like, she was covering for Joe Biden.
The day after the debate, she's telling us, no, there's nothing wrong with him. He's great. He's sharp as a tack.
And now it's like, well, he has all these cognitive issues. Oh, I didn't notice. Then how can you be president?
Right. So, well, yeah. And then on top of that, she's also running on the fact that, like, she's going to fix the issues of the Biden presidency as if she wasn't a big part of it, but then she's also going to take credit for any of the things that she obviously is going to run on, saying that these were good achievements that we had. You can't have it. You can't have it both ways or all ways.
Well, her only option is just to talk bad about Trump. That's her only option at this point.
Right. What is she going to talk about? Biden and herself?
Yesterday, the Biden-Harris administration admitted they had to restate the job creation numbers and lower them by 818,000 jobs created. This is so all those stats were fraudulent. Wow. The majority of the jobs that they have created have been part-time jobs, and wages have dropped. But they don't tell you that part. In fact, Joe Biden. Was he ever president? I don't remember him. Was he president at all?
Joe Biden?
He's still the president. That's the
Where is
crazy
Joe
thing.
Biden?
no one even
Kamala
cares.
is like a party planner. Like I'm watching this and I'm like, what's going on? Is this a concert? Is this a music party? There's like arcades and there's like people throwing basketballs. And I'm like, what is this? This is a huge party that like no one's invited to.
We are actively in a proxy war with the largest nuclear power on Earth aside from ourselves, and we are just pretending as if,
and we're at GameWorks,
and we're pretending as if Joe Biden can handle that. Like there's just no way. And
or Kamala, for that matter.
Well, of course, but I think the to spin this positively, it's never been more obvious to the American people. I hope those that are even somewhat awake that the machine runs regardless of who you vote for.
Exactly right.
It's the deep state, like Blinkens, the Victoria Nulands. They're all actually the shot callers. Joe Biden doesn't have anything to say. Sorry, I almost cussed. Anything to say about any of this stuff. So I think that's the one silver lining in Joe Biden's degradation and the media just unbelievable deception for the past year is they gaslit us into oblivion, pretending that he was right as rain, and then pivoting right away. And now Kamala is a genius, even though they were themselves acknowledging that she was also a terrible vice president.
Well,
it's amazing.
Luke made an excellent point. Sorry. Out of this last 16 years, they've held power for the last 12. So if in the last 16 years, guys, you've not been living your best life, it might be because there was a Democrat in charge. Sorry.
Exactly.
No. This one of the great points last night was Bill Clinton claiming that of the 51 million jobs created in the last X years, only 1 million were created by Republicans. Total nonsense. 12 million jobs created under Ronald Reagan. These people just make the crap up as they go along, and they realize nobody will go fact check it, so they just keep repeating the same thing. But make no mistake about this. Joe Biden's pissed. He's very pissed.
Yeah,
he was bludgeoned out of this race. He didn't want to quit. Something happened in the 6 hours between on a Saturday when he said he wasn't getting out and late afternoon when he released this very hinky letter that's not even on White House stationery saying that he was withdrawing from the race, where the signature doesn't even look like his.
Yep.
They bludgeoned this guy, and he's still bitter about it. He's still angry about it. But he knows who did it to him. Barack Obama is the one who cut off the Hollywood money. Barack Obama set up George Clooney. Clooney didn't check with Obama to say, I'm going to send this op-ed in. He was told to do it. I mean, let's be realistic.
Is George Clooney an asset?
Well, on the left, he is. I mean, the idea was to get inside Joe's head. They had to get Joe to fold.
Yeah.
I think Seymour Hersh, the Pulitzer Prize-winning New York Times investigative reporter, is absolutely right. They had to threaten Joe with the 25th Amendment to get him to throw in the towel.
I totally agree.
And
He said it would take it was a week prior. He said it would take an act of God to get me out of this race. You just don't pivot like that unless you have real pressure that's being.
Well,
And I think the intel agents literally took him, put him in the basement, tied him down to a chair, and said, "Listen, the only way you're getting out here is if you're gonna okay this letter that we're gonna send for you right now." Or he might have not even known what was going on, but I think he was threatened.
I suspect the latter. But actually, if you go back and look, he challenged God, which is a giant mistake. He said, "I'm not getting out unless God tells me to." And that's not going to happen.
Right.
Hours later, days later, he was gone.
Well,
They sent in the interdimensional beings to be like, hey, that Tucker Carlson talks about all the time. Be like, okay, Biden, your time's up right now. We're gonna have to do this for all the forces of evil, or else. And
hours later, he found out that the CIA is actually more powerful than God. And he got out of there.
And then the CIA does hire. They have a long history of hiring a lot of celebrities, a lot of actors, and a lot of their kind of top espionage and kind of information gathering techniques are usually used through, of course, a lot of actors and actresses. So there's a history of that. Is he an asset? Maybe. Who knows? We don't have definitive proof.
There's a lot of weirdness with George Clooney. He is always on the cutting edge of the latest psyop that's being ran from the DNC. He seeds the ground, it seems like to me.
Well, he also hosts the parties where, of course, all the celebrities go to, and who knows what happens during those parties.
I was a little disappointed, though, in Obama's speech because I thought he might tell us, who killed the chef.
Yes.
I was hoping that he would maybe give us a little heads up on who killed the
He
chef.
didn't on his beachfront property, as of course he's warning about the weather being, bad. And,
But how does somebody drown in 3 feet of water? Because if you check the barometric maps, 100 feet off the shore, 100 yards off the shore, the water's 3 feet deep. This guy was clearly a strong swimmer. But this is yet another cover-up. It was in a quick news cycle.
Sea level rise.
That's, right. Quick news cycle, then gone.
Yep.
Do you have any theories on the chef on why?
I think he just told you what his theory.
Yeah,
Well,
I think we
obviously that, but why would they?
I don't know the motive. I don't think it's logical that somebody whose Instagram profile shows he's a strong swimmer drown in 3 feet of water. It just doesn't make any sense.
I'll tell you what the rumor
That's
was.
hilarious.
The rumor was that the chef was going to write a tell-all, that he had been working for the Obamas for many years, and that he knew allegedly
Where the bodies are buried?
No, about the
surrogates,
Barack's
IVFs,
alternative lifestyle.
Yeah. Okay.
Our first guest on this show was Larry Sinclair. So we'll watch the first episode
we'll
we
leave it
ever
at that.
did. We'll watch the first episode, and then you'll get more details about that stuff. We have some super chats. Let's read them off really quick.
All right, we have one from S.A. Federale saying, moderates voting DNC fought against Cheney and wars for profit. Today, the LP has so much support. Trump spoke and Globo Homo had to steal it from Clint. I wonder why they need so much illegal immigration.
All right, keep reading.
Okay, we have Chad Harris saying, how does the Supreme Court ruling on Arizona and voter ID help or hurt Trump?
Well, it helps him.
How?
It helps him, but it doesn't help that much because the Supreme Court left it short of applying it to federal elections. So I think it's good in that it is leading in that direction of making it so that you have to have ID for all federal elections. But at this point, they only gave it to the states.
Yeah, we are away. 20 plus states have applied to the Supreme Court through their attorney generals to review that very question.
Yep.
And we wait to see where the Supreme Court's going to take it. Now, 21 attorney generals wanted to question the 2020 election, and they declined. So all of my conservative friends who are putting all their eggs in that basket,
Probably going to be disappointed.
I'm afraid so.
Yeah.
I hope I'm wrong.
And they're not going to be able to make those changes before November anyway. So.
All right, well, we got Finboy Slick saying no Clintina video today. I wouldn't do that to the great Roger Stone. But I do have one ready to go for the next show.
Finboy Slick, we're ready for it. Don't worry about it. I think we all love your great glory, and we would love to have your video today. I think it would be perfect. We could
play
show,
it with Alex Jones.
We could show it to Alex Jones. Keep going.
Just
There's more.
shame me.
There's more?
Read up. Go up.
Okay, we have T-Dog saying, great to see Roger back on. Amazing insights and a few witty zingers thrown in. Let's go Trump 2024. Respect from the UK.
God bless you.
Thank you, T-Dog.
And we have Randall Floyd saying Stone Tim Pool will be the special guest.
Yeah, Stone Tim Pool is an epic commentator. He always has a welcome, invitation here on the show anytime. So he's always welcome. Keep going.
Last one is David Himes saying, remember Oprah's Maui fire scam? Democrats have.
Yeah, a lot of people were pissed off at her. A lot of people in Hawaii are still pissed off at her, as well as Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, as of course they did a charity run that was funneling money through, of course, them, and wasn't actually giving kind of any actual money. That was the larger accusations against them as well, if we remember those Maui fires that, of course, a lot of people also had some very serious, legitimate questions and concerns about. This, as of course, it looks like RFK Jr. might be changing the news cycle in just a few hours from now, as he announced that he is going to be addressing the nation and doing a special live broadcast 2 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. We might actually do a special live stream just to watch it in real time and just to react to it. And this is major news, as of course we have a lot of reports right now specifically coming in that he might be dropping out of the presidential race and officially endorsing Donald Trump, which, of course, would signal him taking revenge on the DNC that, according to many accounts, have played a lot of dirty tricks with his campaign. There are rumors of them actually sending in people to get them sued. There's rumors of a lot of underhanded, a lot of really bad things being done to him. And I think with Kennedy's history, I think he has kind of a legitimate gripe here, especially what happened to his family members, as the DNC is kind of represented by the kind of intel agencies. And I think this larger divide is going to be, of course, perfectly highlighted with what potentially we will see in Phoenix, Arizona, where Donald Trump also just a couple of moments ago announced that he is going to be having a special guest joining him at his rally in Arizona as well. That's happening at 4 p.m. Eastern. Will it be RFK Jr.? Well, a lot of people are saying yes. And if that happens, I think that's going to definitely shift the news cycle significantly. What do you guys think?
I love that all of my favorite Democrats or past Democrats are now jumping ship and heading to the Republican. Tulsi Gabbard, are you kidding me? She's totally on the Trump train. You've got RFK. Like, this is amazing. They're all moving towards Trump. I think it shows that the people that are like quality in the DNC are moving out of the way. They're coming. They're jumping ship, coming to the dark side.
Well, I mean, and think about the incentive as to why. I mean, Tulsi Gabbard basically received the Ron Paul, Bernie Sanders, RFK Jr. treatment when she ran for president under the Democratic Party. The media was incredibly unkind to her. Hillary Clinton herself came out.
She got the Ron Paul.
Accused her of being a Russian asset.
Yeah. Exactly. So of course she's going to have a vendetta against him, and she ought to. So should RFK Jr. I mean, what they've done to him with lawfare, they have buried his chance. They've buried his campaign. They've given him no opportunity to
yes, they should have that, but so should Bernie Sanders.
Yes, well, he's a coward.
But Bernie Sanders, he had that same.
This is a very key point. I actually used to respect Bernie Sanders. Okay, the guy's a nutty socialist. He's never had any job other than being on the public payroll. He was the mayor of Burlington before he went to the U.S. Senate. I figured he was a true believing a commie. But now it turns out that they've screwed him not once, but twice. They changed the rules. By the way, he wasn't even a Democrat when he switched to run against Hillary. He would have beaten her. By the way, where's the vote count from the California primary? Oh, we're still waiting for that. That's because Bernie beat her out there. Yet he's taken this beating twice, and he folds right in with the war machine.
Yep.
I lost all respect for him.
Well,
at that
those
point.
3 vacation homes don't pay for themselves, Roger.
Good point.
And I think another kind of correlation here is that the corporate media definitely has been attacking relentlessly, not just Donald Trump, but RFK Jr. as well, which highlights a larger kind of coordinated attack by the intel agencies that clearly are also running psyops and larger PR campaigns in order to make Kamala Harris look like the favorable candidate here. So clearly the lines are kind of being divided here, and you see the sides and the alliances kind of shift here. And that's why, again, it wouldn't be a surprise if George W. Bush actually shows up at the DNC, which we're watching carefully right now, as of course there's a vendetta against a lot of anti-establishment types that are coming together. I mean, Roger, you literally had the FBI break down your door, show up at your house with CNN there, hand in hand, conveniently somehow being, there at the perfect time, at the perfect instant
Coincidence.
to
It's
see
all coincidence.
what happened to you.
Total coincidence.
Yeah. You look at the news articles coming out about RFK, absolutely underhanded. They're talking about how he's eating dog. They're talking about how he, lets random bears into Central Park that have been deceased. You look at what's happening to Tulsi Gabbard. She was put on a terror watch list by the TSA, a story that, of course, was broke by Brianna Morello, who also is another independent journalist that also shows up on our podcast episode a lot. Shouts out to her for breaking this official story. But clearly, the lines are being drawn here for establishment-approved candidates by the intelligentsia and everyone else who dares to stand in their way or speak in opposition of them. That's the clear lines here. I don't see it any other way.
This is particularly egregious, though. Here you have a former 4-term congresswoman who's a lieutenant colonel in the U.S. Army Reserve. She was actually on reserve duty when this story broke. And she was placed on this secret domestic terrorist watch list under the TSA program, Quiet Skies, for one reason. She criticized Kamala Harris in public in July. The very next day, they put her on the list. The day after that, they began active physical surveillance of her. There were 5 agents surveilling her. Wow. This is an American hero who served her country. What is their rationale for putting her on this list? Jim Jordan is now going to schedule hearings and look into it. I want to see the head of TSA explain who made this decision and why.
Well, I think given that we've now seen kind of the master plan of Kamala is the chosen one of the regime. I don't know why per se, but she's clearly the chosen one. And they were trying to foist her upon us. They didn't want to go, in my opinion, they didn't want to go with Joe Biden back in 2020. They wanted to go with Kamala.
No, they tried everything else. They tried Cory Booker.
Right.
They tried Pete Buttigieg.
Yep.
They tried Kamala. They tried to prop up all these candidates. And then we can never forget Barack Obama. He didn't mention this in his speech when he said, never underestimate Joe Biden's ability to F things up. Mm-hmm. So they took a guy they knew would serve one term.
F things up.
They didn't foresee him hanging around. And they had the goods on him. They knew everything they needed to keep him under control.
Exactly.
And you look at his staff, they're all Obama people. Mm-hmm. I mean, Susan Rice's job was to run Joe Biden.
Yep. Well, and the point I was getting at was that I think that Tulsi Gabbard really got on their S list when she demolished Kamala Harris in those debates in 2019.
And now we got the headline here specifically talking about how Trump tapped Tulsi Gabbard for help preparing for debate with Kamala Harris. So I think this is like a super coalition team being, of course, assembled here. And it's definitely one that is very entertaining, as, of course, a lot of these people who have a vendetta with the intelligentsia are saying, we better come together now, or there's not going to be a country left. As, of course, this is fascinating. This is interesting, as I expect a lot of these people to have some kind of prominent position if Donald Trump is allowed to become the next president of the United States.
This is like John Jones preparing for a fight against a toddler, and now he has Mike Tyson in his corner trying to coach him up. It's so unnecessary.
Actually, I think Tulsi has a very good handle on this. Trump,
I agree.
Trump does not do traditional debate preparation, or some guy plays Joe Biden, or in this case, Kamala Harris, and then you have other staff members pose as reporters to fire questions. He doesn't do it that way. It's all instinctive. He asks a few questions. He thinks about a few things. He might call you back and ask a few questions. But what Tulsi brings is intimate knowledge of the tactics and record of Kamala Harris. She studied her in preparation for her own debate with her. She demolished her. That's what Tulsi brings to the table. And also she brings a lot more than that. As a surrogate out in the stump, I think she appeals to millennials. I think she appeals to independents. I think she appeals to Democrats who don't want to steer the country towards more endless war. I have to say, just in terms of raw political talent, she is one of the most talented political communicators I've ever seen. Up there with Reagan, up there with Trump. She's amazingly talented.
And I think she realizes too. I think she understands that she's being labeled as the Kamala crusher. Now, if Kamala becomes president of the United States, you could bet your bottom dollar Kamala is going to be using every power at her disposal to try to get back at Tulsi for that, of course, for that debate that they had between the two that, of course, she was wrecked at. So I think she's also seeing the writing on the wall and saying, I'm going to be a target here. I'm in danger here, especially under a Kamala presidency. And I think that's why she's kind of teaming up with Donald Trump right now and trying to help him out here during these debates that Kamala is backing out of.
Well, what I think is so remarkable is the kind of mask off, gloves off thing that we've seen, the dynamic that we've seen over the past year, in that the regime had been going after you and Bannon and the J6ers and a whole bunch of, and Trump, obviously. But now they've really just decided we're not even going to pretend anymore that we have moderate allies. Like RFK Jr., lifelong legacy Democrat. Tulsi Gabbard ran as a Democrat. They don't care.
She was also the head of the DNC.
She was the vice chairman of the Democratic.
I didn't realize that.
Oh yeah.
But point being, like, they are willing to treat her as a domestic terrorist. They're willing to use millions and millions of dollars, create PACs and all sorts of things to keep RFK off the ballot, sue him into oblivion. I don't think there was any chance that RFK Jr. was going to drop out of this race until he realized that the lawfare alone was going to make a viable third-party run impossible. And it's unbelievable to me that the Democrats, who have been psyoped into believing that the Democratic Party is the defenders of democracy, are going to continue to support the Democrat Party as they undermine democracy every step of the way. And I didn't even detail all of the ways in which they tried to imprison and maybe other things to Donald Trump. It's just laughable that this narrative has any merit at all.
No, I think you're right. Look, Robert Kennedy, first they kneecap him within the Democrat Party. They essentially cancel the Iowa caucuses. They cancel the New Hampshire primary. Yep. They tell him that he'll be penalized if he tries to run in either one of them. They try to keep him off the ballot in Georgia. They gave him the full Bernie Sanders treatment.
Yep.
So now he switches to become an independent, which is, as you know, an extraordinarily uphill, difficult feat, just getting on the ballot. Now it's absolutely clear they're prepared to spend whatever it takes in lawfare to keep him from even being in the ballot, on the ballot, never mind the swing states, in any states.
Yep.
I think he has finally recognized the futility of a valiant effort, and he cares deeply about his country. Like his father, like his uncle, he's an ardent anti-communist. He is a believer in freedom. He's a throwback to the old Democrat Party. Now, I don't like his views on abortion. I don't like his views on climate change. And that's why I didn't want him to be president. But I do think he could be a very valuable ally to Trump. Just hitting the stump and campaigning for Trump would be a major factor. He's clearly struck a chord with a lot of Americans. There are a lot of people who I think heretofore were not ready to go back to Trump. Now I think he becomes a bridge to bring them back.
Well,
I hope he does. But I mean, one key point here is if this is what they do to these beloved people, if they can do this to somebody like Tulsi Gabbard, who is, you know, a soldier or whatever, imagine what they do to us.
yeah.
I mean, I think people forget that this is what the government will do to you.
I don't have to imagine.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
That is what-
Roger
Right.
knows firsthand.
There's a lot at stake here, and especially if you're. Let's just think about it from if we're the establishment, right? Trump gets elected, all right. Who is he going to pick for his attorney general? RFK Jr. Who is he going to pick for Secretary of State? Tulsi Gabbard. What are the implications of those people being in those positions of power? And how would that kind of translate into them implementing action into those institutions that, of course, they controlled for so long that they use and wield for their own personal benefit? I think if you're the establishment, you're like, we got to do everything in our power to prevent this. And I think that's the stage that we're at now. And this is a kind of larger escalation as the stakes are pretty damn high.
Well, add into that mix Elon Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy, a bunch of other, kind of dissident right-leaning folks.
A libertarian that he promised to put in there as well.
In the Department of Education, I have it on pretty good authority. That's the slot that they are eyeing for that.
But then he's talking about getting rid of the Department of Education.
Well, no, yes, but that's
perfect.
That would be the job of the libertarian. And like,
I'll take that job.
Put
me in there. I'll delete the whole thing right away.
But what better juxtaposition could you have than Trump saying at the Bitcoin conference, I will fire Gary Gensler as the head of the SEC, and Kamala saying, no, I'm going to make him the Secretary of the Treasury.
That's crazy.
Tells you everything you need to know.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
we're going to be moving over towards a free speech platform. That free speech platform is, of course, the platform that we're going to be continuing this conversation on for just a little bit. Steph and Clint, take it away. I got to stop our Roomba.
Oh, I was like, what is that? Are we giving our plugs to go over to the next?
Yes, sir.
At Liberty Lock Pod on X, Liberty Lockdown is the show. New episode dropping tomorrow, and I will also be on Timcast IRL tomorrow night. So get done with this, sleep, fly, IRL. So see you guys there.
Steph, use your app to turn this darn thing off.
Just put it back normal, and I'll take care of it.
As of course, sorry about that transition. We're going to be going to callers in about 30 minutes, and then in an hour, we're going to have a very special guest joining us. We're going to be on his show. He's going to be on our show, and then we're going to be on Roger's show as well on this alternative platform where, of course, the conversation continues for the duration of the DNC that, of course, we will be covering live. Roger, where can people find out more information about you?
They can go to stonezone.com, stonezone.com, where you can find out about my 77 WABC radio show in New York. That's at WABCradio.com every Sunday afternoon from 3 to 6. Or you can go to rumble.com/Roger Stone to see the Stone Zone, which airs every day at 8 o'clock p.m. Really happy to be here tonight.
Absolutely great to have you, Martha.
I'm equally thrilled to be here tonight, especially with the great Roger Stone. And people can find me at Bueno for Miami.
Steph?
This is Steph, and we have Clint over here. Liberty Lockdown is
I
the
already
name.
He already
Oh, you
plugged.
already
He already
did?
plugged
All
everything.
right. Well, this is Steph WRC on X, and Steph We Are Change on Instagram, pushing the buttons for the best political show.
All right. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I had Alex booked on Liberty Lockdown like a year ago, and then he had to reschedule 3 times because he was going through bankruptcy proceedings and had attorney consultations. So this is a bucket list item. My audience is going to be thrilled to see this happen.
So yeah, stay tuned for that, plus a lot more on the next platform. And don't forget to sign up to lookunfiltered.com. I'm going into the members chat right now, and we will be picking someone to, of course, join the conversation in about 30 minutes from